Aloha. Aloha. Welcome to our fourth episode of our Genuine Gold podcast. We're so excited to be here and to introduce our wonderful guests. This podcast is titled From Labs to Reefs, and we're excited to invite Tava'ilau Segi and Justina Tavana onto our show. We'll bring them on right now. Welcome, Sto and Justina.
Hi.
We're happy to have you here.
Thank you.
Well, welcome. Well, I'm going to head straight in and introduce the two of you. Justina Tavana, or Tina, is a research scientist at Brigham Young University studying the genetics of rheumatic heart disease, or Ph.D, and Alzheimer's disease, or AD, in Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islander NHPI populations. She's originally from Samoa and has a passion for studying health disparities in NHPI communities. Justina completed her undergraduate studies in biology at BYU-H before pursuing her Ph.D. at BYU. Justina's work aims to shed light on the unique genetic factors that contribute to RHD and AD in underrepresented communities and ultimately improve diagnosis, treatment, and prevention efforts for those devastating diseases. Justina's dedication to her research and commitment to serving her community have earned her numerous accolades and awards, including the prestigious National Institutes of Health Diversity Supplement, the Brigham University Service Award, members of the Natives Engaged in Alzheimer's Research Team, and the American Society of Human Genetics Scholar. In addition to her research, Justina is actively involved in community outreach and mentoring programs where she works to inspire the next generation of scientists and promote diversity and inclusion in STEM fields. We're so excited to have you here. Tina, did I miss anything?
No, you covered it all.
We're excited to have you all watching here today. Please let us know where you're from and drop any questions that you might have for our guests. So we have our next guest on, Sto. Tava'ilau Segi, or So, is a marine and climate change scientist at BYU. His study focuses on the effect of climate change and human impact on coral reefs in tropical islands such as Hawaii and Samoa. Sto was born and raised in Savaii and Upolu, where he developed his passion for the ocean and knew the significance of its resources to the people of the Pacific Islands. His work varies from doing field work, such as collecting sediment data and conducting reef surveys, to doing sample analysis in the lab, data analysis, as well as remote sensing work to identify threats to marine resources. Sto's favorite part of his work is working with local communities and other professionals in his field to enhance conservation efforts in the Pacific Islands. Sto is also part of the Young Professional Team for the International Union for Conservation of Nature, or the IUCN, in the South Pacific. The team includes other young professionals with backgrounds in conservation conversations from Hawaii, Fiji, Papua New Guinea, Rarotonga, and Palau. The team's goal is to empower the young generation of the Pacific Islands and bring in new skills to enhance conservation development. Sto's main goal is to promote the use of technologies and bring in the ocean management in the South Pacific Islands. He believes that will help mitigate the impact of climate change on marine resources by eliminating more human disturbance. Thank you. That's remarkable. Sto, did I miss anything? Is there anything that you'd like to share?
Yeah, you got it. You got it, Andrew. Thank you.
Wonderful. You're both very remarkable, well-accomplished individuals, and we're so proud that you have graduated, that you're alumni of BYU-Hawaii. And of course, you inspire many of us, including myself, with your careers and your education. I realized I didn't introduce myself. My name is Andrea, and I'm from the Cook Islands. I major in biology here at BYU-Hawaii, so I'm very inspired by your careers, and we're excited to learn more about your journey. So recently, you had the opportunity to walk, is that right? At the BYU graduation. You both received your doctorates in biology at BYU. Here you are pictured with President Kawe. Tell us more about this picture and how you felt. We'll begin with Tina.
Just wow, not to get emotional already. We just started, but grateful for the opportunity to be able to gain an education, right? And grateful for the church educational system. I'm a product of CES. I went to high school at a church sponsored school in Samoa. We both did, the Church College of Western Samoa. And then I went to BYU-Hawaii, and then to be here at BYU, and especially to have such an awesome advisor, right? And that you all get to learn from as well, since he's the president of BYU Hawaii. So just kind of just it was exciting and overwhelming, and just so many emotions, but mostly just grateful for the blessing that we've been given to be here at university, and just for our families and friends, and for all of their support and love, and for the gospel. So,
Thank you. That's beautiful. Yeah.
No, yeah, it was it's definitely a good experience for us. For me, it's just looking back. I mean, I don't know, like I didn't even know that this is where I was going to end up to, especially coming from a small island, and you know, um, getting a PhD was not even my mind growing up. I grew up fishing and going to the plantations and stuff like that. But it's just reminding me of, I guess, the plan that God has for us. And the moment we open our eyes, we see His hands in every step of the way. And it's just very grateful. I think Tina mentioned about President Kawe and his involvement, because for me as well, he was in my committee as well. And BYU Hawaii is so lucky to have him as a president.
Absolutely, I agree.
And our other friend in the picture too, who also is a BYU Hawaii alum. So it was fun to have all three of us there.
Oh, wonderful. I believe her name is Rebecca Grinnell. Yeah, I did some TA things for her when she was here doing research.
Teaching, yeah. Good.
She's incredible. We're so happy to have the two of you here. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you haven't officially received your PhDs, right?
Not yet.
Tell us a little more.
I defend in a couple of months, so
that's super exciting.
Lots of work trying to get done.
Uh-oh, I hear about those. Well, I just received word that we have a guest who'd like to enter and have a word with the two of you.
Oh,
great.
Hey.
President Kawe, welcome.
How's it going?
Tell us a little bit about you too.
I haven't listened to the whole interview, so, but I'm grateful to be able to jump in and crash the party and say hi. So, I've had lots of wonderful adventures with both of these two, and looking forward to lots of great things from them in the future. So.
It's awesome. Yeah, we're excited to learn all about it soon.
Thanks, President Kawe.
Thank you for jumping in. I thought you were too busy.
Well, I was planning on 3:15, and then I got a message saying like, "Oh, now might be better." So that's my fault.
Well, thank you for joining us. We appreciate your time.
Yeah.
And we're looking forward to seeing more students go into STEM and to work under you, perhaps. So thank you.
He's a great boss.
Yeah.
You're talking about Andrea's boss, right?
Oh, her too.
Thank you, President Kawe.
Yeah.
If there's anything else you'd like to share for the audience.
Well, no, I'm glad that you're talking to Stau and Tina. I mean, they're both really incredible examples of what BYU Hawaii graduates can do to make a difference in the world. Hopefully you've heard a little bit about their research and how centered it really is on supporting others, especially in building the health and the wellness and the well-being of their homes and of the people that BYU-Hawaii has been, designated by prophets to serve. So it's really, I'm so just continually impressed by both Sal and Tina and their desire to do that work in a way that honors their heritage and fulfills the mission of BYU-Hawaii. Because when you're a graduate of BYU-Hawaii, you're part of that mission forever, right?
No, I agree.
What's the Seasider? Rollins Seasider?
I love both of them, and I'm a little jealous that I'm not an actual BYU-Hawaii alumni.
An honorary.
I'm doing my best to be worthy to associate with all these wonderful Seasiders that are here and all the graduates that we have as well. So, yeah, I'll jump off and let you guys continue, but I just wanted to share my love for Tina and Stow. And Andrew, you're doing a great job. I appreciate your involvement in the school and in this project and all the work you do. So,
thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Have a lovely day.
Thank you, President. Thank you.
Well, that was a nice surprise.
What a surprise. That's amazing. We're excited to see and to hear more about your journeys coming to BYU-Hawaii and going forward. Tell us, we're going to ask Tina, tell us a little bit more about your background and your journey from Samoa to pursuing an education at BYU-Hawaii.
Sure. So I'm from a very big family. I grew up in Samoa, in Fesenga, which is where the church school is. I grew up on that campus. So it's a recent picture, actually. My whole family was here for our graduation, so that was fun to have everybody here. So my parents and their 7 children, and all of my sisters and I are all alumni of BYU-Hawaii.
That's incredible.
So it's fun. BYU-Hawaii has been a big part of our lives. And, after graduation from Church College, I applied and got in and started school at BYU. And my older sister was there, so we were roommates, and just a fun time, and all of my friends. So
wow, that's amazing. So tell us a little bit more about your background and you coming here and your family.
Yeah, so I'm from a family of 7 kids. So I was born and raised in Tava'ilau, and then I was raised in Tava'ilau and post Tava'ilau in Upolu. I went to high school in Upolu, and so growing up there's 6 boys, 7 girls. 6 boys, 1 girl, sorry. And 2 of them are at BYU-Hawaii right now. So, and most of them came to our graduation, so it was awesome. So me and Tina are from the same side of Hawaii. Our village is right next to each other as well. Me and her dad usually get into these arguments, which village was the best.
Ours is.
Love that. Yeah, okay, I'll give it to you. But yeah, so this is my family. My wife Tanea, and she was a graduate of BYU-Hawaii as well, in political science, and that was our graduation at BYU-Hawaii. And now we have 2 kids. Fun. The older one is Poseidon, and then the second one is Soteria. So yeah, so that's about me in my journey here.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm sure your families are so proud of how far you've come and all of the amazing work that you'll do in the future. So yeah, Tina, tell us a little bit more about your BYU-Hawaii experience. Tell us your favorite things about BYU-Hawaii alumni.
BYU-Hawaii, just so many wonderful things to do there, right? On top of just the academics. This picture is from a culture night. My cousin and I danced in, and then Auntie Jane works there at BYU-Hawaii, so you've probably seen her around. So participated in that. Food Fest. We love Food Fest. We also did, I worked at BCC and on campus at various times of my time there at BYU, and just so much fun. And then we used to it's gonna date me, but we used to have dances every Friday night in the ballroom, and I'm sad that you guys don't have that anymore. But
Wow, that's amazing. I couldn't imagine a dance every Friday.
it was
Tell
fun.
us your favorite memory from here.
Oh, sorry.
For me,
Tell us your favorite memory from here. Your,
My favorite memory.
yes.
I think one of my favorite memories is we lived in the dorms, and there's the benches right in the corner, right between the two halls. I was in Halle too. And on Sundays, a bunch of friends, we'd get together and bring food and have music and just have a good time. It's
Oh,
definitely one of my favorite memories there.
mhm. Wonderful. Tell us what it felt like when you graduated.
Oh, just again, overwhelming but exciting. I was grateful for my time at BYU-Hawaii. It definitely um, made me the person that I am today. And was so my parents had moved to Hawaii, and so it was nice that they were able to be there for graduation. I'm their fourth child, so it was um, it was fun for them to see another BYU Hawaii graduate, right? And then my best friend and our high school librarian is in the other picture, Sister Atoa, who actually lives there in Laie. So
Oh,
it's fun to have family and friends that have supported us throughout our whole academic journey and to be there to celebrate with us. So it's fun.
tell us how, in this moment, how you felt. Did you already have things figured out? Did you have a wild plans and aspirations? What was the next step here for you?
I actually I graduated at 21, and that was when I was in school. That's when girls went on missions, and so I graduated right before I turned 21, and then went on a mission to the California San Francisco mission. So
Wow,
yeah, so I left the very next week after graduation from the MTC.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Incredible. Okay, thank you so much. We're gonna have Stowe. Tell us, Stowe, how was your BYU Hawaii experience, and tell us about this photo and all of.
uh, yeah, this is my experience at BYU was it was great. You know, it was memorable. So and so this image over here is this is the canoe show. I believe they don't do this canoe show anymore. But the guy in the front is he's my best friend as well. So he teaches at Pesengwa right now. But me and him went on the missions at the same time. We finished high school at the same time, went on the missions, and then we also graduated at the same time from BYU Hawaii. Um, so it was uh, a great experience, and what I love the most about BYU Hawaii is that it's a very diverse school, right? And you get to learn about different cultures, and I think that's something that you can carry on with you is that understanding these cultures. I don't know. It just makes things so easy and makes things easy to communicate with others as well. And actually, I find it very beneficial to learn to make friends at BYU Hawaii. So, for example, like some of my friends are from Japan. It was pretty awesome to because you never know what happened down the road, right? You might work and need help, and then your friend is in the office in Japan or Tonga or Fiji, and that will makes life so easy and so build the network while you're at Beautiful. And that's something that I love about Beautiful.
Now, both of you are from Samoa, as we learned.
Yes.
But I had a question about how you feel about you having come here and going forward and being leaders and fulfilling the prophecy of being leaders in the community. Even from here, I can sense that you do have a large impact on your community back home. Can you tell us, or hear from Tina first?
Yeah, so one of my goals was to be able to, and I think for a lot of us, right, is to be able to go back and serve. And as I had started pursuing my PhD, I realized that I wanted to be able to do something in my community and to be able to get back home. And so Sal and I have both actually been able to go back to Samoa and do our research there and serve. And I've been able to do that over the last few years, which has been extremely fulfilling. But we've also been able to serve our communities here in the U.S. and in Hawaii. Just, yeah, I mean, living the mission of BYU Hawaii, right? And really taking what we learned from there um, and going forth to serve in the best way that we can. And so, yeah, it's been extremely fulfilling, but also the Lord has guided us at every step of the way, and I truly believe that and know that He's there and has helped us. So, yeah.
Wow, thank you. Super inspiring. So, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah. So I think the mission and vision of BYU Hawaii, I didn't get it the first time when I first started at BYU Hawaii, but I think you know, I think it was I was halfway to graduations, and then I realized that there is a part I have to play in this university. You know what I mean? It's not a one-way thing. I just have to do something for the university as well. So, and I like what Tina said. Enter to learn, go forth to serve, right? Um, and going back to the community um, is fulfilling that mission. We were going back to give back to the people, and also because we are truly uh, preaching the gospel in this way as well, like helping them out with what we learned from BYU Hawaii and also our grad school right now.
Absolutely. Thank you. I know someone was proud of you and making a good name. Yeah, so we're gonna go into a little bit more and speak to each of you about your research. Super exciting. Both of you have gone down different paths in biology. We'll go ahead with you, Tina. So tell us a bit more about your research. It's incredible. You're working in genetics. Tell us a bit more.
Sure. So my plan actually had changed. I was a pre-med major, a pre-med biology major at BYU Hawaii. I planned to go to med school, got home from my mission, um, applied to schools, went on interviews even, and then realized that maybe that wasn't the path for me. And so worked in healthcare for a little bit and then was able to find a job in a research lab, which happened to be President Kaue's research lab. And genetics has always been something that I was interested in. And so I started working for him. We were doing rheumatic heart disease research in Samoa. So rheumatic heart disease is when strep goes untreated. So if you get, strep throat, you should go see a doctor. And so part of that was educating the children and their family members and teachers, right? It seems like a simple thing, a sore throat, and unfortunately, a lot of us don't go and get it taken care of. And so if you don't, then it turns into rheumatic heart disease. So it attacks your heart valves, and you'd eventually need to get them replaced. So it's a disease that affects children, and in Native Hawaiians and Pacific Islanders, we're genetically predisposed, or we have a higher tendency of developing rheumatic heart disease. And so important, when your kids have a sore throat, make sure you go to the doctor and get on antibiotics so that it doesn't turn into rheumatic heart disease. Yeah.
So what inspired your passion for this and for addressing health issues, and especially in Native Hawaiian and Pacific Island communities?
Yeah, so I wanted to be a doctor, right? And I thought the only way that I could actually help people and with health was to go to medical school. But you don't have to. There are so many other ways that you can do and help that way. And so rheumatic heart disease is one way that I've been able to do it. Alzheimer's disease is my big dissertation work. and what I'm able to do there. And then, of course, being able to serve my community. And so working with Native Hawaiians and Pacific Islanders. And nobody has studied it in our people before. And who better to do it than somebody that's from that community? And then having a wonderful leader who also saw my vision, right? And it was both of our vision. And just so supportive in everything that I needed and wanted to do. So just grateful, so grateful for all the opportunities that we have to be able to do this work.
What's the most rewarding part of your work that you found in this time?
Just being able to see, so with the children, knowing that when we find a child that has rheumatic, that we can then get them the help that they need, and being able to know that they'll have a future, right? And then, so I serve the most vulnerable medical populations, so both the young and the older adults, and then seeing our kupuna, or our older adults, and really, and having them appreciate what it is that we're doing, because they know that it'll help their children and their future generations. That's been the most rewarding part. Yeah.
That's incredible. Is there something that comes to mind when you think about all that you have gathered or learned from the experience of researching these communities?
So part of the group that I'm in is Natives Engaged in Alzheimer's Research. So we're research scientists working in our Native communities because we have lived experiences, right? We understand how they think, and so that has been extremely important, and why we've been able to do so well in what we're doing is because we're connected. We have a connection to these communities, right? Because we're from them. So yeah, that's one of the many things that I've been able to learn.
And so how do you see your path going now as you complete your doctorate? What does that look like? Will you continue this work?
Yes. So I realized as I was, coming to the end of this part of my path, that if I left this space, who was going to do this work, right? And so I spoke with President Cowan. I'm just like, I need to be able to continue this research. And we have a grant from the National Institute of Health that's helping us do this. So I'm staying on to postdoc. It's kind of like residency for med students. So I'll stay here at BYU and do my postdoctoral work and continue my Alzheimer's research.
That's amazing. That's so inspiring for young people and those who are interested in STEM. But my question is, how do you believe your work aligns with inspiring the next generation of scientists and promoting diversity?
I hope that when they see us, they see themselves, right? I hope when you see us, you see yourself, that this is something that's attainable, right? And I hope that we're an example to the younger generation. And we are natural scientists, and Polynesians are natural scientists, right? We've used so many of these, and a lot of it comes so naturally to us. And so I hope that we're able to inspire and be examples for the younger generation. And I hope that it motivates you to become a scientist, because you're all so smart and you can all do this. And Stau and I'm volunteering him, but we are here to help in any way that we can. Please reach out if we can help. We would love to help. But we need more scientists. We need more Polynesian scientists, Pacific Island scientists in the field, because there's so many other problems to tackle, right? So many other questions that need to be answered. And so we need your help.
Thank you. Those words are so inspiring, and your story is inspiring. But to end this portion of our podcast, I wanted to ask you, what is working in a lab like? Is it everything you dreamed of and more?
Oh, I hate lab work.
Oh,
Yeah. Some people are made for lab work. So I do it because I have to, but we also have a lot of wonderful scientists that work in the lab. I really like being able to go out and talk to people. And so I go collect all of the data and collect all of the samples and then bring it back for everybody else to process in the lab.
yeah.
But yeah, you just have to find your strength, right? You have to find what your strengths are. You have to find what your passion is and go for it.
Thank you so much. And thank you for sharing all that you have. And we're so inspired. And I know students who are listening are also feel very empowered by your passion for this work. Thank you. Okay, we're going to have Stowe come on and share a little bit about his research in his doctorate studies. Stowe, what are we looking at?
All right. So, man, it's hard to go after Tina. But so my research focuses on the marine environment, mainly marine conservation. But I think I have to explain what the problem is, because it's kind of like pointless why I'm doing this if there's not a problem. So I focus my research on the Pacific Islands as well, but not to people, but to the environment. Um, and everybody knows about the effect of climate change to our small island nations, right? Such as sea level rise, right? And the rise of sea surface temperature, which increases coral bleaching and stuff like that. So I feel like that's everybody knows about that problem. And also, the thing we know little about is the human impact as well, because that sort of make things worse. For example, if we farm too much in our watersheds, it will increase the amount of sediments that get washed to our coastal areas, and with that will not mitigating the effect of climate change, that will making it worse, right? So that's the problem. Um, so my work, there's three parts of this job of my work. First is I go to Molokai, collect sediments from coastal areas, and from those sediments, so I send it back to BYU, and then I come back and do the lab analysis of these samples, right? So looking at the amount of phosphorus that's in these sediments and other trace elements or other metals. In that way, it helps sort of like trace where these sediments come from and how much from land and how much from the ocean. Yeah. In that way, it will help manage our land areas. In that way, if we manage our land areas, that means it will be less and less sediments get washed into coastal waters. Uh, on the same one, I also do reef surveys. So it can be a transect survey, like an easy transect survey where we lay it on the measuring tape and then take videos of the reef and images. Um, and the second part of my work is this one here, where it shows students swimming with the poke board with cameras underneath, and this will capture thousands of images, right, in a second. So maybe like I don't know, like 10, 20 images in a second. It's just so fast, and the reason of doing this is so that I can create a 3D model of the reef. So I bring back these images and then run it. So there's a lot of machine learnings that goes into this. So creating 3D models of the reef and also finding elevation model. In that way, if we send it back to local communities, this will help them identify areas that they need to conserve, right? Instead of wasting money and resources on other areas that we don't need to conserve. Uh, so, and then the last part I want to talk about is remote sensing. That is one part of my work is using satellite imagery to help with conservation. So my job in Samoa, so I get satellite imagery, and I can use these satellite imagery to classify which part is vegetation, which part is non-vegetation, and also which part is bare area. We can also use these satellite imagery to classify corals from algae, where that in the ocean. And part of this is to predict. So, for example, if we allow more farming in this area, what's going to happen? If so, because we can predict it from this model, because this model also include elevation model, right? So we shouldn't farm in this area, because if we farm too much in this area, sediment will get into the coastal water way faster than this area. So we should farm, you know, so those kind of things. So there is a lot. So I agree with Tina. So field work is fun, right? But sitting in the lab and analyzing this data, um, it,
Not so
it
much.
it is not so fun, but it's very important, right? Because this is how we get back to the community. Just bring it all down, and then sort of like communicate with them of how we can help manage conservation.
No, this is all very important work. I myself, I'm studying marine biology, and I'm going into that direction too. There's so much to be done in our marine space. But as a having grown up in the islands as well, so I may understand a little bit where you're coming from. But my question was, how has your this focus that you have on the marine space, how has your Samoan heritage or your upbringing inspired you to go into this direction?
Oh, yeah, that's the I think Tina mentioned that we are natural scientists, right? And even in the ocean, our ancestors know the oceans very well, and also the patterns of nature, right, to our environment. And so that's what inspired me. So, for example, I grew up in the ocean, fishing, and I do all those fun stuff that we did. Um, but it surprises me that from the in the 90s, late 90s, where I'm from, there was a nice beach, that we used to go to and hang out. If you go to that same area today, you don't find it anymore. Like, it's so fast, right? It's unbelievable for me, because it's just so fast that the water is coming up so fast, and we lost that. And also, people now tend to fish far out in the reef than the inside, because there's less and less fish. Um, so that's what inspired me. It's the knowledge that my father, my dad, and my uncles, gave me when I was young. Sort of like walk me through it of how things work. And all I'm doing is you know, I'm I'm learning the science. I'm adding the science part of it in it, and I hope that's my part. I will bring the scientific skills to our communities and merge it with our indigenous knowledge, and see how we can improve conservation.
That's very inspiring. Scientists, they often refer the most depressing branch of science is conservation biology. Would you agree that's well, maybe you don't, but it is a tough place to go into, when you see the effects of climate change, of human activity. Um, how would you say you've gone through that, and what would you say is um, the most rewarding part of what you do and what research you do?
I think it depends on where you're doing your research at, right? I think for me, um, I see it's working in these small island nations, because they are the one who are impact the most to climate change. Um, and so So take for example, in Molokai, we're doing research in fish pond, right? So if you go to fish ponds in Molokai, it's all mud inside, which is, like that's not the purpose of it. Is to trap uh, uh, these terrestrial or these land-derived sediments. But that's what it is right now. But we are bringing in that knowledge, and we see the improvement of these fish ponds, um, and the local communities are embracing the that reward too, that from the science part of it.
Yeah, it's incredible. How do you see yourself moving forward as you complete your PhD?
So um, right now I still have to do my final defense in a couple of months, but I am hoping to find a job or even a postdoc at organizations like NOAA,
Yeah,
uh, where I think it will help me get into. So my hope is to bring more like technology to our islands and help with conservation. Because right now, we tend for right now we use a lot of satellite imagery to improve conservations, right? And I think that's the area that is lacking in the Pacific. Is this these skills? How do we use drones? How do we use satellite imagery, right? To promote conservation, to enhance our conservation. But I feel like the new generations are pretty. They learn much quicker when it comes to technology. So I think it will. I think this is something that will be beneficial to these islands. You just give the drone to the little kid and let it fly, and then we'll teach them um, how to create a 3D map from those images. And then
absolutely.
yeah,
Mhm.
so yeah, the main part of this work is how. So you go from an image and how we can convert that image to information so that it can help conservation.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah, I love to hear about how you're inspiring um, people and people back home to get into this technology side of conservation. I think my question is, how does your work align with inspiring the next generation of scientists and um, to pursue, um, you know, an education and going forward, be leaders in that space?
Um, I think I'm doing that by basically. Um, I'm hoping for the new generation to know the importance of this work. And I think if they experience the importance of this work, that will make it easier for them to get into it and learn more. And it also go back to what Tina was saying. If we can do it, you can do it. And the fact that you can do it easily, because especially the new generations, I feel like they learn faster and faster when it comes to technology. Um, and so yeah, so with my background as well, coming from, I wasn't even the first or in the top 10 of my classes when I grew up, and I feel like using that story, I'm really hoping to sort of like motivate the young generations in the South Pacific to pursue higher education in conservation biology.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Tell her about the conservation house too.
Oh, the concept. Okay,
Yes.
yeah. So the other part of our work in Samoa is we have so we help manage these small conservation. So it's a village-based conservation areas throughout the islands. And last year we went to dedicate the center. So it's a conservation center where Tina and I and presidents and also Tina's dad were heavily involved into this conservation. It was funded by Psychology and also BYU. And the idea is for the local communities to be scientists. We don't want to wait for a scientist to come from overseas to do our work. So if we can use this as either a lab or um, anything that can help not only marine conservations but the conservations of our native forests, that will be great. And so that was the purpose of conservations. And also they can use this as a way to earn money for the community. For example, tourists can come and learn about what's going on in village, and also learn about how to weave a mat. How to weave, sort of like to share our traditional knowledge of things as well. Tina, do you have anything to add for the
Um,
conservation center?
so just for it to also be a source of education, right? And then also a source of inspiration for our young people, but also for tourists to come and learn from the locals, which is one of the main reasons why we had the conservation center built, to highlight what it is that we already are doing, um, and what the locals are doing as far as conservation is concerned, and then how they're able to improve on that from um, what they can learn, right? Like Scott was saying, technology. Like, isn't this cool? You can see what's happening in the ocean in Samoa all the way from Utah. Like,
Mhm. That's amazing, and I love to see how your work extends back into your home country. Now, I have an image here from when you returned home last year. Was this the purpose of your trip too, to establish those conservation houses?
yes, so we
Yeah.
went with President Kawe. This was his first trip, official first trip to Samoa as president of BYU-Hawaii. So he wanted to make connections with the uh, local church leaders and the church-sponsored schools. So this is the high school in Tava'i, and that's the principal on the far right end. So we went to dedicate the conservation center for President and Sister Kawe to meet all the local leaders, and then also to for both of our research, we also shared a video that was made by one of the amazing things about being here, is the resources that we have available to us. And so the Howley guy is from our animation department here at BYU, and he was
Mhm.
able to make a cartoon for us that talked about rheumatic heart disease, so that we can then, since COVID, we haven't been able to go back to Samoa. So we made this cartoon that we then were given to the local TV stations that they could use to help educate the student and the public about rheumatic heart disease. So we went to do kind of the first showing there as well. So
Wow, that's amazing. It's amazing to see the work that you've done in the community too. I wanted to ask what advice you have for students who want to, say, bridge their academic pursuits and community service and creating that positive impact in their community.
I'll let Stao go first.
Okay. So yeah, I think um, I think when I was, this is especially for the BYU-Hawaii students, right? I think for me, um, was to know the people around you, and also keep that communication going with them. And also you got to recognize their strength as well, and then recognize your weakness, and then ask questions. Because some of when I was at BYU Hawaii, sometimes I was like that. I was too scared to ask questions because I was like, oh, I'm dumb for asking these questions, right? But right now, I like one of the professor here at BYU. He always say that you can, if you want to figure out how to, for example, like if I'm doing the analysis, right, an ICP analysis here at BYU, I can spend like maybe the whole day reading about the manual of how to work this machine, right? Or I can go to Tina who used the machine before and ask her and spend 5 minutes just showing me how it works. Yeah? That is recognizing the strength of people around you. And then I think if that's the skill that I think we have, but we Polynesian usually are scared to, I don't know, to ask questions. But so for me, that's the main thing is ask questions and recognize that strength of people around you and use it wisely. Um, yeah, and for grad school, um, I think for me, I took my time to know what I want to do. When I finished BYU-Hawaii, I was applying for UH, but I I wanted to get into engineering, but I also wanted to do something with marine biology. So and then finally BYU said that they can fund the research in Samoa. So I was like, oh, this is a perfect opportunity. Um, so take your time to know what you want to do, and make sure that's something you can place the people around you and also back to wherever you're from.
Thank you. That's a welcome. Tina, would you care to comment?
No, I 100% agree with Stao. Find out what you're passionate about. And sometimes you need to take some wrong turns, right? And make some mistakes before you find what it is that you really want to do. And I believe in timing. It's all about timing, right? It's in the Lord's timing. And as long as you're serving and doing what you're supposed to do, the Lord will provide a way. And same thing, I had my life planned out and things didn't work the way that I thought that they were going to, but they worked out so much better than I could ever have planned because the Lord had a very different plan for me. And He puts people in your life at the right time when you need them. He put President Kawa in my path right when I needed him. And now look, we get to come back to BYU Hawaii. And that was really fun to be able to see kind of full circle, right? To see that we could come back and serve. And so really just find what it is that you're passionate about. And Lord will provide a way for things to happen. And as long as you're doing what you're supposed to do, things will fall into place. And really network. We're really good at networking, right? So find people that can help you boost you up. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's gonna be rough, uh, you know, but you'll get through it.
Thank you. Those are really wise words of advice or encouragement for students, not only for those who are embarking on a career in STEM, but for any career. It's really wise. We're so grateful that we could speak to you both today. You're both so successful and inspiring for us. To close, we wanted to ask you if there's any last words, any last piece of advice that you have for our students from your career, from anything that you have learned and going forward. Yeah. Well,
I
that
would
was
say, yeah, go ahead. So, sorry.
Go ahead.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I just want to emphasize what Tina says. Just build the network. So BYU Hawaii is a perfect place to build a network. Also build a network through your professors, right? Because if what you want to do after school is something else, your professor might know uh, this person's at maybe Yale or like another university he can connect to. Because it's so hard. So I think the easy way to get to grad school is to know someone, right? Is having a professor to connect you. I think that would be much easier. And then also, just trust in God's timing. And last advice is just to remember the missions and visions of BYU Hawaii, because I think that really changed my life at BYU-Hawaii when I started to realize I'm not only here to just find a good, get educated and then get some job to get some money. So it's more than that. I think that's what I love about the church education. It's more than just being successful in getting a job and get paid, right?
Absolutely. Thank you. Tina?
There's so many people that love you and that want you to succeed and that are there to support you. So sometimes you have to get outside of your comfort zone. A lot of the times you do. And I know as Pacific Islanders, we tend to be really shy, like Sto was saying, but get outside of yourself. You're going to have to be uncomfortable. But there are so many people that want to help you. So find those people and then we're so much stronger together. So have people help you, accept the help, and help others.
That's so beautiful. We're so incredibly grateful for your insights. You both are so inspiring, and it's such a great blessing to have listened to your stories and your journey and your advice. It's truly inspiring. We're excited to see what comes for you both, and what you will both achieve as you go forward in your careers, and in your research too. It's all really important work. So we're so grateful for the both of you, and we want to say a goodbye to the two of you.
Okay. Thanks for having us, Andrea. We're excited to see what you do in the future too.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a good day. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
We're so grateful that we could listen to Tina and Stum today. We're excited for our next podcast that will be coming up next month. We'll do these weekly. If you're an alumni and you're listening to us here at Alumni Relations, we are so excited to see you when you come in. Please come in and gather a membership ID, membership card. We offer discounts. There's discounts at the bookstore and other businesses, and we also have alumni shirts available for $10. So please come in and say hello. We always love to hear your stories and connect you with other students here. But we also have upcoming the 60th anniversary of the PCC from the 8th to the 12th of October. So please register on pcc60.com. There is also available videos on the performances and for practicing. But also we have the Washington State 25th anniversary luau on September 23rd. We've reached out with information on that, so you can sign up for that and register. But we're so grateful that you could all tune in today. Please keep an eye out for our next podcast that will be next month. So thank you and aloha, ahui ho.